Welcome to the Be Magnetic podcast. I'm your host Tara, energetic strategist, psychic medium, and your guide to a life and business that feels like a full body fuck yes. If you're ready to move beyond success and step into true peace, pleasure, and prosperity, this podcast is for you. I'm here to help you reconnect with your divine feminine energy and elevate your life, business, and finances with ease and confidence. Get ready for unfiltered stories, mindset shifts, and real strategies that will help you to live, love, and lead with your heart. Together, we'll unlock your highest self, access your deepest wisdom, and heal your energetic blocks. So take a moment to settle in, feel the energy shift, and let's dive into the magic that awaits. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. Today I have a slightly different episode for you that's not all about money or business, but we actually gonna talk about how I structure my weeks and months for maximum productivity. And honestly, I've always been really into just maximizing productivity, all that, organization, productivity, time management, all that stuff has always been a big passion of mine and something that I happen to be really good at. And I did talk about it a lot when I started my business, but I didn't talk about it so much recently. And I do personally really love just learning about how other people structure their days and get a peek behind the scenes of how they're living and leading their life, because it's always really inspiring to me to see where I can improve my productivity or where I can get more effective and maximize my time and my energy so that ultimately not I get more done, but get to enjoy life more. And that is kind of the first thing that I want to also talk about with you in today's episode, which is the real value of productivity. Because for me, my desire of wanting to get productive isn't about maximizing the stuff that I can get done or the output that I can generate, but really about getting more efficient when it comes to what I do in the time I have, so that I have more time to actually live life and do all the things that I wanted to do. So even when I started out with just getting into time management and productivity, my goal was still, I just wanted to make sure that I could do all the things that I wanted to do. I could study, I could work as a surf instructor, I could work out, surf for myself, travel and write my blog, develop cool calendars and stuff like that. I wanted to do all of that. I didn't want to sacrifice any of that. And so I had to find a way in which I could get all of that into my day and be present for everything and do everything to my best capability. And that is kind of how I got into it. And even now, for me, maximizing my productivity isn't about how can I get as much done as possible, but rather I do have 6 hours a day where I can get shit done. And I want to make sure that I can get in everything that I need to be getting done in that hour, in that time I get done, so that after that I can just go spend time with my family, spend time with myself, go out in nature, exercise, see friends, whatever, right? So it's not about I'm maximizing my work day so that I can work 40 hours a week, but rather how can I shorten my work day and my work weeks, but still get be really productive and really efficient in what I get done, so that I do have still time to enjoy and do the things that I wanted. And just to give you an overview of my current situation in my life, and it does change all the time. At the moment I am in a season where I do have a lot of things to do again, so I do have a lot of different projects because I am working, I have the business, and we have the project of getting my stepdaughter here, and then also want to spend time with myself. I have a partner that I want to spend time with. I have friends that I want to spend time with. So there's a lot of different things that are taking my time and attention. And so I have to get very strategic when it comes to structuring my weeks and my months so that I get everything done that I wanted to do. That is my current situation at the moment. So there's 5 things that I do in general. I'm independent from my weeks and months and how I structure them, that do boost my productivity. So first of all, I cycle sync. I don't do this excessively, but I do make sure that when I know, okay, I get my period, I have a looser schedule. I don't put so much on my plate. Or even within a week, right? I know that Mondays and Fridays, that's not my heavy work days. So I just don't feel in the mood to like perform really high on those days. So I'm not gonna pack these days too full. Versus in the middle of the week, it does work better for me to just have get shit done days in a way. I also know my mornings are my most productive time of the day versus the evenings. Like when it gets dark in winter, absolutely, I'm not gonna get done anything. I'm gonna curl up in bed and that's it. And if it's 6 p.m. I will be there in bed at that time. So I do cycle sync in that way. I am very conscious about my energy levels and make sure that I tune in and design my days, weeks and months in a way that align with my energetic levels and just what is going on. I also make sure that if I have a very heavy meeting day, then the next day is a little bit lighter. Like I know what things require a lot of my energy and what are like lighter, and so I do to consider that when it comes to how I plan and structure my weeks. The second thing that I do to boost my productivity is to work with the planets. So especially on a weekly like on a daily basis. So within a week, every day is associated with a different planet, which also gives it a different overall energy that is supporting the day. So Monday is the moon day, for example. Tuesday is the Mars day. Wednesday is the Mercury day. Thursday is the Jupiter day. Friday, Venus. Saturday, Saturn. And then Sunday is the Sun. And so on a Monday, for example, is all about the moon. It's all about going inward and like getting cozy, and like there might be some shadows, some fears come up. There might be a lot of emotions. So I'm not gonna like have all my calls on that day. Like absolutely not. Versus Wednesday or Tuesday, for example, with Mars and Mercury, they're very outward, like get shit done, like communication day. So I will make sure that my heavy work is on those days as well as communication. Jupiter is all about expansion and like ideas. We will get into that later, but that's a day where I like to like either have client calls or do passion projects, because that's when my ideas are flowing. That's when I feel most connected to source as well. And then Friday is Venus. It's all about self-care and like doing what you love and what's fun. So I won't put any tasks that I dread on that day. And I want to make sure that there is time for self-care. And then the weekend, like Sun is about celebration and Saturn is also just about like sensuality and all of that. So I'm going to make sure I have fun on the weekend. So that's something I also do just to make sure that I'm not getting into a place of I have to push myself and motivate myself and act from willpower and dedication, because that is usually more draining and takes away from my energy instead of adding to my energy, which then again takes from my productivity. Third thing I do is to batch. I do make sure that I combine the similar tasks all together and do them in one sitting. That's why I don't record my episodes on separate days. I do sit down once a month, as we'll get into, and record all my episodes for the month. I do that with content as well, so that I don't have to be on and like task switching all the time, because task switching also like drains your energy and ultimately takes away your productivity, because you constantly have to get in and out of different tasks, and that's so exhausting. The fourth thing that I do is to be realistic with my time and my tasks. So I don't just structure my weeks or plan my months in a random way, but I actually try to get as realistic and as honest with myself as possible when it comes to tasks and the time they take. And of course, sometimes I get it wrong. Of course, sometimes I totally underestimate how long something takes. That's normal. But I do try to get as realistic as possible, and it might take you some time to get a hand of that. But since I've been doing it for so long, I know more or less how long things take me, and so I can get realistic and actually schedule in that time, because it doesn't really serve you to schedule in just anything and then find yourself working double the time because you were unrealistic. So rather schedule less things in a day, but then actually get them done. That's going to set you up for success and motivate you, and again, add to your energy instead of taking away from your energy. And then the last thing I do, which goes along with that, I do schedule in kind of like breaks and gaps. So I make sure that there is a time in my day where I could catch up on things, or just like a buffer time where I get to do the things that I don't get to do, or when something takes longer, there is some buffer time that can be used for that as well. And I also make sure that I have enough breaks and enough downtime and flow time and self-care time throughout the months and the weeks. So again, I'm not gonna jam my schedule like full so that I'm feeling exhausted. No, I'm going to make sure that there is time to rest and time to integrate and rejuvenate, because that is just equally important as getting shit done. So those are the 5 things that I do to boost my productivity overall. You will see as we walk through my weeks and months how I integrate those. Okay, so the way I structure my weeks and months is actually pretty simple. I'm going to start with the weeks first, because then the months make more sense. So with my week, like I said, I do take into consideration the planets. So my Mondays are a light work day where I usually start working a little bit later. I usually get up at like 6:15 every day on weekdays, and so usually I work around 7:30. On Mondays I might start a little bit later, just to have that slow morning if I feel like it. If not, I can get started right away. But I do have in the afternoon, so I do work 6 hours on Mondays, and I do in the afternoon have absolutely nothing planned. That's my self-care time, so I get to just flow and be aligned and like do whatever I want to do in that time, and then I have my workout scheduled in the evening. So that is kind of how my Monday is designed. Tuesday and Wednesday are heavy work days. I work 8 hours around that time on those days, and on Tuesday I do work out in the evening, because I found if I get my workouts done in the beginning of the week, it's easier for me, versus towards the end of the week I usually either don't find the time to or don't have the energy to. So I will get 2 of my 3 workouts done on Monday and Tuesday, and on Wednesday I do yoga in the evening. So that those are like very simple days. Tuesday is also like a sort of heavy day. I do have client calls on Tuesdays usually, as well as do my weekly planning and do a little bit of work and like random stuff that just gets on my plate and gets done on Tuesdays. And I also usually get done a workout in the evening. So that is kind of what my Tuesday looks like. Like I said, I love to do my client calls on Tuesdays, because I am the most expansive and the most aligned with spirit on Tuesdays. And so that really helps me on Thursdays, sorry. Constantly saying, like, I mean Thursdays. So I do my client calls on Thursdays because I feel the most aligned and connected to spirit, and so I can channel the best in client sessions. And then Tuesday and Wednesday are my heavy work days where I just get shit done, which also align with the planets. And then Fridays are a little bit looser. Those are more like the behind the scenes kind of work days, and they're very like they're fluctuating, and that's here it comes in where how I schedule my months. So the Fridays, they do shift every week. One Friday a month usually record my podcast episodes. The second Friday of the month I do my social media content. Then I have a Friday off where I just don't have anything planned, and then the last Friday of the month I do my money date and life admin stuff and plan the next month and things like that, just catch up on life stuff. So that's how my Fridays usually look. I do try to not work more than 6 hours on Fridays, so I always try to finish by 3, which sometimes I get to do that, sometimes I don't, it depends. And then I usually try to wind down, like see a friend or to spend time with my husband or with myself. That works really well. And then the weekends we always try to do something at least one day of the weekends. My husband sometimes works on Saturday, so that's usually my self-care time where I get to either see my friend or just spend time with myself, which I really appreciate. And then on Sundays we usually hang out together and like do things together. So that is kind of how and then every Friday also we go to the grocery store, and if I don't feel in the mood to do that on Friday, we do it on Saturday. So that's kind of how my weeks are structured. And then when it comes to the month again, I mean, it looks kind of similar, right? So the Fridays might depend, shift a little bit slightly depending on the projects I have in a month. But then there's a couple things that I do in a month that I also make sure to take care of, which is I make sure that there's one thing, like one physical self-care activity that I'm doing, which is I either get a massage, or I get to go to an in-person yoga class, or I go to a workshop, or something physical, like in person, that I do for myself once a month at least, so that I do have that connection, because I do work a lot from home and a lot on my computer. It can sometimes get a lot, and so I want to make sure that I do have that time for connection and rejuvenation. I also make sure that I do make space to see at least 1 or 2 friends a month. That depends obviously on what we are doing with my partner and the family and everything. But I try to always schedule that in to my month as well, so that that side of my life is also taken care of. So that is how I overall structure my weeks and my months. And like I said, I do integrate everything that I said before: the batching, the planets, the cycle syncing, and all of that stuff. So when I end the episode with 6 hacks I follow to maximize my time and energy, which are slightly different to what makes you productive, because these are real things that do help me maximize my time and my energy. So the first thing is to be intentional with what I do. So again, I'm not just sitting down here recording random episodes, but I'm intentional with what I do, and I'm intentional with how I do the things, which ultimately saves me time in the long run, because then I don't have to go back and edit stuff, or I don't have to do extra shit that I didn't plan for. Second thing is I focus on my North Star. And that is probably something that costs so much time to so many people. They don't have a clear vision. They don't have a clear North Star. I do have a North Star. I know exactly what I'm working towards and what I'm working for. And I know exactly why I'm recording podcast episodes, why I'm doing content, why I'm working, why I'm having client calls. I know exactly why I'm doing the shit that I'm doing. And I know it is aligned with that North Star. I have this vision for myself. I have this goal towards what I want to get to. And I make sure that everything I do, every tiny bit I do, serves that goal, serves that vision. And that makes sure, and everything that doesn't, I say no to. It doesn't have time or space in my schedule. And that really helps me to maximize my time and my energy, because it means everything I do serves a purpose, and it gets me ultimately closer to where I want to be. The third thing is to make time for myself. I said it earlier again already, but I always make time for myself. I make it on Mondays, I make it on Saturdays, I make it on Fridays. I try to do it every night as well, and every morning, even just 10 minutes. I do make time for myself to fill my cups, to center myself, to reconnect to my North Star, and make sure that I do have the energy to do everything that I wanted to do. And if I don't, then I'm okay. Then I say, okay, no, like I finish that here where I am. I feel done, so I'm not going to do this. And that's okay as well. I trust that it wasn't meant to be done, or I will find a different time to do it. The fourth thing I do is I do things now. I don't procrastinate. I don't do things tomorrow or next week. Of course, there's slight things if I don't have the time, or if it's something sudden that I didn't plan for that happened and that's not so urgent, I will find a time next week to do that. But I do shit now, and I do finish shit now, because that will help me to not get behind. And the getting behind is actually what costs you the most time and the most energy, because you're feeling like you constantly have to catch up on things, which I don't get into because I get shit done now. The fifth thing is I train my inner clock. So I make sure that my body knows that when it needs to be performing, right? By, for example, getting up at the same time every single day, except weekends, and having like same lunch times and similar evening routines and stuff. Like, I train my body to know when it needs to be on and when it can relax, and that also allows me to feel more prepared, and it allows for things to go smoother. And then the last hack that I use to maximize my time and my energy is to finish things as much as possible. Kind of along with doing it now, I try to finish things, and sometimes, yes, things take longer, but I do try to finish it, even if that means I have to work an hour longer today, because it's just gonna get me in trouble and get me falling behind if I don't finish things. So, and I don't want that. I'd rather sacrifice half an hour to an hour more today to have that done, and then I can find that time to relax sometime else, right? Or like, I don't have to squeeze that in sometimes else. Like, it's so good to just get things done and get them off your plate. And a big part of that also, like, not to get like caught up with this, is to be more realistic, right? So it doesn't happen too often for me to like not get things done in time, so I don't get in trouble with this. But if it happens on occasion, I will still get it done. So that's that. I hope you like the episode. Screenshot this, tag me, and tell me your biggest takeaway. I'd love to hear. Also tell me if you have any hacks to add to this list. I'm sure there is more ideas on how we can be more productive and maximize our time and energy to enjoy life more, so I'd love to hear them. If you're new to the show, make sure to subscribe to the podcast and rate the show. Your feedback means the world to me. This is such a passion project, and I appreciate every single one of you listening to this. So thank you so much for your continuous support, and I will see you next week. Oh, and before I forget it, it's almost May. It's almost May, so make sure to tune into the month ahead forecast and pick a pile of reading that I released on a podcast last week if you haven't done so. And make sure to come back next week, because we're going to talk about how you can get out of the rut and out of negative thinking and back excited, which I think will so powerfully align with just this energy of productivity and getting things done, and just like getting into a higher energy and vibration. So make sure to come back to that next time. Without further ado, I will let you go. Have such a great day, and I talk to you soon. Bye. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. It was a blast. If you haven't given the show a 5-star review yet, I highly appreciate if you did so. This is an amazing way to help the show grow and reach more people, and it means the world to me too, as it is such valuable feedback for me. And if you found the episode valuable and learned something from it, or had an incredible takeaway, I also appreciate if you share that with your friends, your community, or just share it to your stories and tag me so I can read your takeaway and send you a little thank you note. Thank you so much, and I see you next Wednesday. Bye!